Alright, y'all. So, this video is going to be dealing with slightly darker subject matter than I tend to like to go into. So, be forewarned, proceed at your own risk. Next week should be funnier, but this is something that I feel I need to say. Hey y'all, there are some definite advantages and disadvantages to working in news. Some advantages are I get to find out about breaking news before literally anybody else. Some disadvantages are I figure out about breaking news before anyone else. One such occasion was last week when we got a report about a guy in Pennsylvania who took two 12-gauge shotguns and over 100 rounds of ammunition and went to the store where he worked and ended up killing 3 people before turning the gun on himself. And a couple of things stood out to me about this story. The first part was, while we were working on this story, some of the people in the cubes right next to me were going through all of his old Facebook and Twitter posts. And it really, it amazed me because, between Facebook and his YouTube channel and his blog, it was so obvious that this guy was thinking about doing something like this. He had comics of himself with guns going and shooting up schools, okay? With all of this, nobody reached out to try and help him. Nobody. Even after comics and cartoons like that, nobody reached out to help him. Are we so desensitized by people who so desperately want attention that they'll make attention-greedy posts to try to get validation through people's comments? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why people do that. Facebook and Twitter are not safe places. That is not where you go to try to get validation from your friends. You want to do that, you go find your friends in real life. The second thing that stood out to me was after we sent the story out, after we ran it on the news, somebody got on to our Facebook page and asked why we would release a story glorifying suicide. And this frustrated me because that story was not glorifying anything that young man did. We talked about what he did. We talked about what was going on in his head before he did it. None of it was glorifying. But in today's culture, even with the massive problem with suicide, it seems like you can't talk about suicide for fear that it'll sound like you're glorifying it. And I don't get that. Even if somebody makes a mini-series talking about what goes on in the head of somebody who's being suicidal, and the person making this series has gone through it, it'll still get condemned for promoting suicide. This has happened. People, if we have such a massive problem, we need to be able to talk about it. Alright, if you stayed this long through my mini rant, thanks. I'm sorry that it seemed so raw, but next week should be funnier.